gorgeous. Welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast, which features interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, without further ado, I'll hand you over to your host, Holly Worton.
Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm here with myself. This is the first solo show that I've done in a few months, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about how to use muscle testing in your business. Now, some of you may know, because I've been talking about muscle testing a lot lately, some of you may know that I use it in my business quite a bit because the technique that I use, Psych K, which changes your beliefs at the subconscious level, uses muscle testing as a very, very important part of the technique. So I wanted to talk to you today about how you, on your own, without anyone else, can use muscle testing in your business. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is muscle testing. You may have heard of it, you may not have heard of it, you may have heard it being called kinesiology or applied kinesiology. Muscle testing is a way to communicate directly with your subconscious mind and your superconscious mind, and it can help you accurately identify subconscious truths and information that you can't normally access from your conscious mind. So it's kind of an easy yes-no communication system for testing all kinds of things, limiting beliefs, stuff that you wouldn't normally have access to. Now, I'm sure you're aware of how in business, we can often sabotage ourselves, and it's not really, we call it sabotage, but it's not really. It's oftentimes our subconscious mind trying to keep us safe. So it doesn't want you to go out and, do public speaking for your business because that's scary and it knows it's going to make you nervous. So it tries to keep you safe by keeping you playing small. And it's always, got your best interest in mind, but we often want to get past those things. So the work that I do is helping people change their beliefs at the subconscious level so that they can get past those fears and do the things they want to do to build the business they want. So again, going back to muscle testing, how does it work? So you may have seen people kind of holding out their arm and someone presses on it and checks, yes, no, and you get answers that way. So that's basically what it is. So if you're working with someone else or someone else is working with you, when I'm working with clients, for example, when we're sitting in the same room together, I'll have them stretch out their arm, and then I will press down on their arm, and we'll do kind of a test to see yes-no responses, to get a really clear idea of what their strong response is, which is the yes, and the weak response, which is the no. So we test for things like, my name is Holly, and that should test strong. My name is George, that should test weak, because it's not my name. So I'll talk a little bit about how to establish that communication towards the end of this episode. But for now, I just wanted to let you know, the way it works is, the theory is that when the mind is holding a stressful thought, so something that you find stressful or difficult, or something that's not true, or something that you dislike, something, I hate to use the word negative, but that might help you understand what I'm talking about. So anything negative or limiting. So when your mind is holding this stressful thought, an electrical conflict is created in the brain, and the signal strength to your body is reduced, which is what results in that weakened muscle response, which is why your arm goes down when you say, my name is George, assuming, of course, your name isn't George. It's why you get that weak response. So the conflict between the conscious and the subconscious mind results in this weakened response in the muscles of the body. Now, we could go really in depth into this, but my way of looking at things is, I really don't care about the why because it works. If you sit down and you muscle test, my name is whatever it is, and then you get a strong response, and then you test my name is something else, and you get a weak response, to me, that's good enough for me. So if you need more of the why, look up muscle testing or apply kinesiology and get some more information about why that works. For me, it works. That's good enough. So let's talk a little bit about the subconscious mind. Now, I'm sure every time you hear people giving a presentation about the subconscious mind, you see that image of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg is above the water, and that's what you can see. And the whole rest of the iceberg is down below. And of course, the visible part is your conscious mind, and the invisible part, or the part underwater, is your subconscious mind. because it's operating in the background and it's doing so much. So to talk a little bit about the differences between the conscious mind. So the conscious mind, it sets goals, it judges results, it thinks abstractly, it's time-bound, it has an awareness of the past and the future. It has a limited processing capacity. So the short-term memory is approximately 20 seconds, and the conscious mind can only focus on 1 to 3 events at a time. So that whole multitasking thing, you can only go so far. And it averages 40 bits of information per second. So that's actually not that much compared to the subconscious mind, which is more habitual. It's what monitors the operation of your body. It keeps your motor functions operating. It keeps your heart going. It makes your digestion work. It carries on all of the functions of your body that you're not consciously thinking about, like breathing. You're not thinking about when to breathe. Your subconscious mind is handling that. And the subconscious mind also thinks literally, which is why if you've ever worked with affirmations, you know that you need to be always speaking in the present tense, because again, the subconscious mind is timeless. It only deals in the present time. So say if you're working with affirmations, they need to be in the present tense, they need to be positive, and they need to be really, really specific. Because the subconscious mind thinks literally. When you're speaking to it, you need to be really, really clear what it is that you want. Same goes for, people who are into law of attraction. You need to be really specific about what you want if you're going to communicate the right thing to the subconscious mind. Which is why in Psych-K, when we're creating belief statements, which we program into the subconscious mind, they're always present tense, they're very, very specific, and we have a process that we use if the subconscious mind needs more details, because it's, again, thinks literally. It's also got an expanded processing capacity. So it's got your long-term memory. It holds your past experiences, your attitudes, your beliefs, your values. It can function by thinking about thousands of events at a time, and it averages 40 million bits of information per second. Now that's 40 million bits of information compared to 40 bits of information that the conscious mind can handle. The subconscious mind is a powerhouse. It's doing so much, and it's doing it on its own. It's not something that you can control, not something that most people can control in the sense that they control their subconscious. Now, there are ways, of course, of programming new beliefs into the subconscious, which is how I work, but it's not something you're normally working with on a day-to-day basis. We mostly function in automatic in the background using the subconscious, but our conscious mind is what's handling day-to-day decisions, actions, things that we're doing. So that's that. Muscle testing also works with the superconscious mind, and you may have not heard this term before, but you may call it something else. You may call it your higher self, your gut feeling, your intuition, your spirit, your soul. What is this superconscious mind? It sees the big picture of your life. And in Psych-K, the way we work with the superconscious is that we ask it questions to help ensure that your goals and the beliefs that you're programming are safe and appropriate in the context of your life purpose, because your superconscious is what is on track with your life purpose. It sees the big picture of your life, and it wants to keep you working towards what your life purpose is. So, I hope that makes sense. So again, why is muscle testing useful? Because it taps into that subconscious mind and that superconscious mind that we're not normally working with. Helps us access information that is unavailable to our conscious mind because it's very difficult to normally tap into that subconscious and superconscious mind. And it can help us to stop playing small. So when it gives you some very specific ways of working with the muscle testing in a few minutes, but it helps us to tap into that superconscious mind or higher self and get a clear idea of what our intuition, what our soul, what our spirit, what our gut wants for us, and what is in our best interest and highest good. Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've seen this if you work with law of attraction or affirmations or things like that, sometimes you have a clear image of what you really, really want, and you don't get it. And you just keep trying and focusing and, writing in your journal and visualizing, and you don't get it. You get something else instead, and you think, wow, this is amazing. This is so much better than I thought I wanted. And it's because our superconscious mind is always keeping us on track for things that are in our best interest and highest good. And if we really, really want something and it's not in our best interest, it's probably not going to happen, or it will happen to teach us something. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about 5 ways that you can use muscle testing. One of them is pricing, and this is something that I've talked about in a video that I did recently. Another is naming things in your business, getting clear on priorities in your business, and as I said earlier, getting clear on what's in your best interest or highest good. And it's also good for testing limiting beliefs, and that's mostly how I use it when I'm working with other people. So with muscle testing for pricing, you test the price you have in mind. So say you're creating a new program or package and you want to price it at $500. Test that $500. Muscle test, is the best price for this new package $500? Muscle test. And if it's strong, good. If it's weak, then go higher or lower. Say, the best price for my new package is more than $500. Test. If that's strong, good. If it's weak, test for lower. The best price for my new package is less than $500. And then you can just keep going from there, just testing to see which is the best price. So if it's, say, more than $500, then you would test $600, $700, $800. And oftentimes that's the way it goes, because so many times we'll have this image in our minds of what we really, really want deep down, but we're too afraid to say. And then we've got the other amount, the amount that we think people will pay. So by tapping into your superconscious mind, by using muscle testing, it will tell you what is in your best interest or highest good for the price, for this new program, product, service, book, whatever it is that you're offering or creating. Also be sure to test to see if the final price that you get includes tax or VAT, which is value-added tax. One time I was muscle testing with someone and we got this price and she was not quite sure about it. And so she said, can you check to see if that includes VAT? And we did, and it didn't. So the price ended up being tax, the price that we had arrived at. So I think it was, let's say $5,000 plus VAT rather than including VAT or tax. Also ask about a payment plan. Is it in your best interest or highest good to include a payment plan for this program? And if so, how many payments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much should the payments be? And this, again, helps you to stop playing small and pricing small, because so many women entrepreneurs have issues with playing small and pricing what they think people will pay, because they assume that people won't be able to pay what they really want, or they assume that people won't. They'll think it's too expensive, or they won't have enough money. And this helps you set the prices that really reflect what's in your best interest and highest good for your business. So I hope you found that useful. Testing for names. I've also used this with people to test what is the best name for their course or their program or their book or their product, whatever it is. So you can use it to test what is the best wording to speak to your ideal clients. What is the best wording for this name that will help them really understand that it's right for them and it's something that they need. Again, you're always going to make the decision with your conscious mind. So you're tapping into your superconscious to get this information as to what is the best name for your course or your program. But ultimately, you're going to make that decision with your conscious mind. What is it that you're going to call this new thing? Hope that makes sense. So you can also use it for testing for priorities. So what is in your best interest or highest good to be focusing on? Sometimes we've got so many options or so many projects or so many things that we want to do, and we just think, I don't even know where to start with this. Because you're interested in all of them, and they all sound like good ideas, but you can't do them all because you've got too many things going on. So you've got to pick one and focus on that. So it can help you determine what is your highest priority. And you can test number of priorities. So if you've got 5 things, you just go down and say, the highest priority activity out of this list is number 1, muscle test, strong or weak. If it's strong, then yes, it's number 1. If it's weak, then you just go down the list, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And you just keep going until you get the highest priority. Then you would test the second highest priority activity or action is number 2, 3, 4, 5. And you just keep testing that way to see what your list of priorities are. And oftentimes, and this goes the same for pricing and for names, you know deep down. You already knew this stuff because it's in there, it's in your mind. But sometimes getting this physical confirmation can be so useful, very empowering because it helps you relax, helps release the stress of making these decisions because you have this information that you didn't have before because your conscious mind can just get muddled around, running in circles, second-guessing itself. And of course, you could have your subconscious mind playing its own routine, trying to keep you small. So this can be really, really useful in helping you just be at peace with the decisions that you make and giving you so much more confidence in the decisions that you make. So again, you can test for what's in your best interest or your highest good, your next course of action, which project you should be focusing on, can help you make decisions. But again, you're always going to make that decision with your conscious mind. You can also use it for testing limiting beliefs, and this is how I use it most of the time in my business. So you're testing to see whether your subconscious mind is sabotaging you by trying to keep you safe. And it can help you identify beliefs that you could benefit from changing. So again, you're accessing information that your conscious mind doesn't have, and you're seeing what is the program that your subconscious mind is running. And this is so, so very useful because so many times we think we believe something, but then we get the muscle testing response that we don't at the subconscious level. And I see this all the time with clients who work with affirmations, because affirmations work at the conscious level. You're repeating the statement, which is in the present tense, it's positive, it's forward focused, or stated in the present about what you want to achieve in the future. But it's all working at the conscious level. And so many times I'll work with clients who are used to using affirmations, and they'll say, well, can we muscle test these affirmations that I've been saying? And of course, they know them by heart because they've been saying them 30 times a day for 30 days or whatever. And 99% of the time, their subconscious mind does not believe that affirmation. So they haven't been getting the results they wanted because their conscious mind believes it, but their subconscious mind is not on board. It believes something else. And that's when you need to do some kind of work to make those changes at the subconscious level. So this is really, really useful to identify those beliefs that you could benefit from changing because you're seeing what your subconscious mind believes. This is so powerful. This was totally life-changing for me because, again, this is information that your conscious mind does not have. So, top mistakes that people make when they're muscle testing. So, let's go back into how to muscle test for yourself. Now, this is a little hard to do because it's a podcast and you can't see me. I can't show you videos. I can't show you pictures of how to do it. So, you can go online and research self-muscle testing, but there's so many different ways that you can use muscle testing by yourself. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about some of the really popular ways that people use it. So some guidelines for self-testing. Now, first of all, it's best to sit down in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, where you can get centered, maybe breathe deeply a couple of times, just really calm down and disengage from any distractions, turn off your phone, put your computer laptop lid down, and detach yourself from the outcome. And this is really important. Try not to kind of be fixed on what you want the answer to be. And this is really important because when people struggle with self-muscle testing, usually it's because their heads are so into what's going on. So just relax, be detached from the outcome, and just go into the muscle testing. This is really important. You want to keep your eyes open and focused down. So instead of looking straight down, you want to keep your chin parallel to the floor and your eyes looking down. And what that does is that accesses that part of your mind. You also want to pay attention to what part of your mind you want to access, whether it's your subconscious mind or your superconscious mind. And what you're going to address is going to depend on what type of information you're looking for. So if you're looking for limiting beliefs, you're going to be wanting to ask your subconscious. If you're looking for, pricing, names, priorities, things like that, you're going to be asking your superconscious. So that's that. The different techniques there's so many different techniques. So let's start with kind of the circle and straight finger. So with one hand, you make a circle with your fingers. And with the other hand, you insert one finger from the other hand, into the circle and just push the inside finger against the circle and just see how much pressure it takes to force that circle to break or to hold. And then test that with the true and false questions. So my name is Holly, test. My name is George, test. I just did that as I was recording this and it came up strong and then weak. So play around with that. And when you do this, it's important to figure out which finger is best for you. So when you're making the circle, try your index finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, your pinky. Try all of your different fingers. I use my middle finger, for example, for that. And this is one of the most common ways that I use to muscle test on my own. I find it really, really easy. You can also use what's called the fingers as arms. So you place your hand flat on your leg, like your thigh or or a table that you're sitting at, and let one finger be the arm that you're pressing on. And just press on it. So you would raise one finger and then push down on that finger with a finger from your other hand. And again, testing your name, true, false. That I find a bit difficult, but it works for some people. Double circles. So this is very similar to the first one that I mentioned where you make a circle with one hand and a straight finger with another. In this, you make two circles with your fingers, one in each hand, interlock them, and then test like that, strong, weak. Let's see. There's sticky, smooth, sorry. So you take, say, your index finger and your thumb and you kind of rub them together and you say, my name is Holly, my name is George. This one is amazing. So when you get the strong response, it's very, very smooth when you're making the rubbing your fingers together. And when you get the weak response, it sticks. So that's sticky, smooth. I've also seen kind of a scissors method where you put two fingers out kind of like scissors and then you press on them with the other hand. Let's see, standing sway, that's another really, really common one where you stand up, and you might want to try this while you're listening to it. So you stand up, relax your knees, close your eyes, and do this, the true false. So my name is Holly. And then you allow your body to be pulled either forward, backward, left, right, counterclockwise, clockwise, or not at all. And remember that. And then give the weak or the false response. My name is George. And then see how your body moves. So usually, for me, for example, my strong is forward, my weak is backward, but it could be your strong is left, your weak is right, your strong could be clockwise, your weak could be counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. It's different for every person. And that's why it's so important to also find the best technique for you with this. Another really, really easy technique that I use is a pendulum. And I find that a lot of people find the pendulum to be really, really easy. So by doing that, you just hold it and ask it to show you a yes response and a no response. And it might sway back and forth or side to side or clockwise, counterclockwise. The response is different for every person. So for me, using the pendulum, the strong response is up and forward and backward. And the weak is from side to side. But for other people, it's very different. So again, always test it with the true, false, and the yes, no, and see what works for you. This is really, really important because a lot of people struggle with self-muscle testing precisely because they have not taken the time to find the best method for them. So if you have any questions or you didn't quite get my descriptions, all you have to do is just go online and do a search for self-muscle testing. And this is something I'll probably do a video about as well, just so I can show you the different methods. So I wanted to go into the top mistakes that people make. So one of them is improper position. So no matter what technique you're using, you want to be sitting, again, with your chin parallel to the floor, eyes looking down. Another top mistake that people make is not establishing communication or getting clear. So not getting that yes, no, or true and false. So whenever you start muscle testing, self-muscle testing, or working with someone else, you always want to do the true, the false. My name is Holly, my name is George, which is also kind of a yes-no response. In Psych K, we do 3 ways of establishing communication. So we start out with a like-dislike. So you think about something you really, really like, and when you're feeling it, you test. And then something you really, really dislike, and then you test. And then you do the true-false, which is my name is this, my name is that. And then the yes-no, and that's where you just repeat the word yes, 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 over and over in your mind. And then no, 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 no. And those are the 3 ways to really get clear on what your strong response and what your weak response is. So another mistake that people make is not finding the best method for them. And I know I've said this just a minute ago, but it's really, really important. So for me, what works is the circle and the straight finger and the pendulum. I really like those 2 methods. A lot of people like stand and sway, a lot of people like the 2 circles, and there are so many more methods out there. So just find what works for you. Now, something that some people get tripped up on is if they get, say, a weak response. They get a weak to their name and a weak to the name that isn't theirs. That means that you might be dehydrated or you might need a snack. So grab a glass of water, drink some water, have a bite of food if you think you might need food, and test again. Test your name, test the other name. And that should go back to giving you the strong response to your name and the weak response to the one that isn't. Sometimes you'll get a strong response, so you get strong to your name and then a strong to someone else's name. And that means that you might just need to calm down and really get centered. You might be feeling some stress. And if you are, what you can do is you can go and sit in what's called the whole brain posture. And this is something that we use in Psych K, and I believe it originated in Brain Gym. So the whole brain posture is where you just sit wherever you are, cross one ankle over the other. Doesn't matter whether it's left on top of right or right on top of left. And then put your arms straight out in front of you, like you're going to dive into a pool. And then put one wrist on top of the other. Again, it doesn't matter which. Turn your arms so that your palms are facing, and then make a fist. So lock those fingers together, and then you can either just sit with your arms in your lap, or you can bend your arms up and kind of hold your arms against your chest, whichever way is more comfortable. And just sit like that for between 2 and 5 minutes, and that can help you just relax and release that stress. And then go back to testing. My name is this, my name is that, and you should get that strong response, weak response that you want. So, I hope that was helpful. And now, I'd like to invite you to play. I've been running pricing calls with people just to help them test out the prices. And it's been a great way to get to know people, play around with people's prices, and help them stop playing small and grow into the new pricing that is reflecting their value and it's reflecting their best interest and highest good. So if you're interested to try it out, we can do some free testing. What I will do is I will give you a link to my calendar, which is going to book in at 30 minutes, which is more than we need. Most of the time this takes between 10 and 15 minutes, but I like to have the extra time in case we go on testing other things. So with people, I've started out testing pricing. We've gone on to test names for their programs. We can test, again, all kinds of things. We can test some beliefs if you want. We can test, priorities, whatever you want. So you can sign up online, and it's at readytobloom.com/pricing. That's ready, the number 2, bloom.com/pricing. And this isn't a sales call. I'm not going to do some muscle testing with you and then launch into a sales pitch. this is just playing around. We're just going to test. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to see how it goes. And that's it. It's a good way for me to get to know you, help you out, and it's just a few minutes. So again, no worries, no sales. And not that sales is a bad thing. I just wanted to say that, but that's not what we're doing here. I have other sales calls that you can sign up for. That's the Burst of Bloom. So also, the way we do muscle testing on this call is I can either help you with your self-muscle testing, or I can go into surrogation for you and do it for you. And that's what I've done with most people. So with the surrogation, that's something that we do in Psych-K, where I kind of take on your energy for the duration of the call and I do the testing for you. Again, we can do that, or I can just help you find the best self-testing way for you. So I hope you found this interesting, and I hope this gave you some insight into ways that you can use muscle testing in your business. And that's about it. So I hope you found this interesting. Hope you join me on the pricing calls. I've got a number of those available in my calendar. So you can just go to ready2bloom.com/pricing. And that's about it. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host, Holly Worton. You can find more information about today's guests, including links for topics that were discussed at ready2bloom.com. That's ready2bloom.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave us a quick review of this podcast. Thank you so much.